One of the highlights leaving Boston Harbor is sailing next to Logan Airport and seeing the big planes taking off or landing overhead.
Another one of these white vessels I want to point out to you, one that's painted white and blue with K181 on her side. It's one of our naval vessels, the HMCS Sackville. HMCS stands for Her Majesty's Canadian Ship, and a Sackville is a corvette. The corvettes were known as the workhorses throughout World War II. They escorted convoys and attacked submarines, and she's the last surviving one that we have. So a big gem here in our harbor. The corvettes were so quick and maneuverable in the water that we even named the car the Corvette after them. Now, since you're visiting from pretty far away, I'll tell you a bit about the basic setup of the harbor. Down in front of us is the mouth of the harbor. Then the harbor narrows up behind us around the bridges before opening again into an area known as the Bedford Basin. So it's in the shape of an hourglass. And this is the second largest ice-free port in the entire world. It's second only to our friends down under in Sydney, Australia. So a very sizable port sticking out in the Atlantic over 100 years ago. We were the largest major port to where she went down. So we were the ones who got the call. We were the ones who sent out the rescue mission, which turned into a recovery mission. And here in our Fairview Lawn Cemetery, that's where most of the Titanic victims who were recovered are buried today.
Watch the lower left corner of your screen and you'll see a blue line being shot out from the ship. It's got a weight on the end of it, goes down on the dock, and the dock worker comes over, picks it up, and starts using it to pull in heavier lines. At the bottom center of the screen you can see the heavy blue final mooring line has a big loop on the end of it. And the dock workers will take that and place it over the cleat on the deck. Sydney claims to have the tallest fiddle in the world at 60 feet high, and Cape Breton Island has a strong Scottish and Celtic musical heritage. The ship was docked in Quebec during the weekend of the Grand Prix World Tour bicycle race, featuring some of the world's best racers. The race is sponsored by the Union Cycliste Internationale, or UCI, the world's governing body of bicycle racing. This race is part of the world tour that determines the UCI annual world ranking for elite bicycle racers. That tour includes the Tour de France.
Literature about them because they were so very important. They came over here with one mission, to start the colony. And they did a good job because in 10 years they tripled the population. And they were very courageous young women because they were women who came here who had large families while the husbands were out fishing and fur trading, who actually were the ones who were here in the colony keeping it going. So they think so one now, we're getting more and more credit. For years it was kind of an obscure, we didn't know, we knew the name, but the real role, now we really know all about it. Getting back to the little church. You see, our city was founded in 1608. I'll give you three very important periods which have to do with all of our history, our culture, our architecture, and everything. 1608, I've been repeating that often enough. The city was founded by Samuel de Champlain in the name of the King of France. 1759, Battle of the Plains of Abraham. British won the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. Details I'll fill in as we go along, but this is the second main date. 1759 for us, Battle of the Plains of Abraham, secession of Quebec City, 1760 the following year, complete secession of the colony. Then 1867, Canadian Confederation. We'll go in front of the Parliament building in a few minutes. That made the country the way it is today, and I will explain to you exactly how it goes. Quebec, Ontario, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick were the four founding provinces of the Canadian Confederation. So we had like our French period, our British period, and our Canadian period, which we are still in today. So that influences out throughout, and I will explain to you later on as we go along why, even though we had a long British period, we are still all speaking French in this city.
Montmorency Falls are 275 feet tall, about 100 feet higher than Niagara Falls. From this viewpoint, a path goes up to the lookout platform just to the left of the falls. I wish I hadn't seen how the platform was perched on the edge of a cliff before I went up and walked out on it. From the platform, the path continues up to the pedestrian suspension bridge that goes across the top of the falls. From there, the path continues on to the long zigzag stairway that goes down the other side of the river. The original Basilica of St. Anne de Beaupré was destroyed by fire in 1922. A replacement was built and opened in 1946. According to religious history, St. Anne was the Virgin Mary's mother and Jesus' grandmother. The main doors were handmade of copper and were moved from a church in Quebec when it closed in 2003. They depict scenes from the life of Jesus. The ceiling mosaics depict the life of St. Anne. The Basilica is an important Catholic pilgrimage site and receives about 500,000 visitors a year. According to the Catholic Church, many miracles of curing the sick and disabled have occurred at the church. 2 pillars display canes and crutches left by pilgrims who reported being miraculously cured and no longer needing them. At Bar Harbor, cruise ships anchor out in Frenchman Bay, and passengers are ferried to the town piers on tenders. One of the most entertaining parts of the cruise for me was the great variety of my fellow travelers. Watching a tender unload was a fun way for me to see that variety as people headed out for a day on shore. It amazed me how many people could fit in one of those boats. Reminded me of watching clown cars at the circus when I was a kid.
just this section, how long it took to build it. Going from making all the stones, moving them into place, to building the road on top. The culvert where the water flows from the upside of the hill. Rockefeller employed all those men, funded all this, come out here and do what we just did.
The summit of Cadillac Mountain is the highest point on the North Atlantic seaboard. Between early October and early March, it's the first place to see the sunrise in the continental United States.